listening to my favorite astrophysicist, Neil deGrasse Tyson. Shout out to Neil, as if we are friends. We're friends in my head. He and a guest were talking about the universe and quantum and all of the things, and they did agree that we know about 4% of what there is to know about the universe. 4. And they were going to say 95% is unknown, but they were like, to be quite honest, 96% of it is unknown. It's so curious then why we speak with such certainty about how things work when we don't even know. We don't even know. And I suppose it's a human nature thing. It's a human nature tenet that we approach things as if we already know, because we do not want to start anything with a beginner's mind. Listen to the conflict in that sentence. We don't like to start things with a beginner's mind. How else would we start anything except as a beginner? No. A lot of people don't want to be a beginner, so they don't start anything new. They don't do new things. They don't fail because they're not starting anything new. How do you know that you're always on that edge of the known, reaching into the unknown and maybe even into possibilities? You're failing a little bit. You're failing kind of often. Good. Congratulations. I need you to fail often, because what it means is you're trying things that you've never done before. And if you're not failing, it's probably because you're not pushing yourself. But that's not what I wanted to talk about today. I want to get into this topic of good and bad. The good and the bad. Now, I know they just sang a song and I wrote it down. It said, out beyond the ideas of right doing and wrongdoing, there lives a field of all possibilities. It's a field. I'll meet you there was the actual words. So when we think about right and wrong, aren't we coming from the concept of knowing everything? As if we could see the big picture, knowing what the meaning is behind all things, and then judging something in the moment as right or wrong. I mean, no. Why do we do that? Again, human nature. We want to put things in tidy little boxes because then we'll feel safer. Because the truth about reality is it's making itself up as we go. It's unfolding as we look for the thing. Quantum physics talks about the field of possibilities, how there's only a wave of probability until you look at it, until you decide with your consciousness, you decide what you're looking at, and then things arrange themselves and they go, okay, sure, that's what we're doing then. So if you look for it, it says, okay, yes. If you ask, if you're looking at your life with a certain point of view, things arrange themselves to agree with you. The universe always says yes. So from a quantum physics, they're proving it every day, from a standpoint of without an observer, the particles behave like a wave of possibilities. They're everywhere all the time. That movie, Everywhere All at Once. There's another word. Everywhere all at once. There's another preposition, but you get it. Here's the thing. The universe is waiting for us to determine what it is we want to experience, and then it goes, okay. But there's also something beyond that. There's also the higher truth. There's maybe the hand or the arc of justice or the hand of right action. There's a karmic or dharmic wheel of rightness. Yes, omnipresence. There's a wheel of right action that is higher than all of the fears and worries and doubts that our human mind can come up with. There is something bigger than our small selves, and yes, we can access it. And it does remind you of Ernest Holmes. He did say that there is a power in the universe that is bigger than all of us, and we can use it. That's this whole teaching. There's a power greater than all that is. That divine power is for the highest good. It's for the goodness of all, and we can use it. Of course, a Christian person who may have been raised in a particular type of denomination, not going to pick one and yell at it and make them wrong. It's not about that. The Christian world might say there is one God, who had one son, and that son was the great exception. So worship the son and you should be all right. Now that's a teaching, that's a choice. And it's been going on for a couple thousand years. So it's a entrenched thought. It's a well-entrenched choice. But what if I told you that that wasn't the original message? That the original message is there's one divine energy that is the source of all things. And the great way shower, Jesus, was the great example. Not the great exception, the great example that was here to tell us that I'm doing, you can also do. You can do these things and more. Say what now? We can do what now? Who are we? Who are we really? Well, why didn't we find that out? Why has no one said that that's what Jesus said? How come everybody's kind of diverting attention over to these other pieces where what he said was you got to do these things and you got to come through and you got to, there's rules. How come that's been? Well, my friends, it turns out they hid the truth from you. They hid the truth from you. Some monks in the world of writing down what the apostles always told us, they were in the business of writing down all kinds of scriptures. And some of those scriptures didn't make it through the committee. They kind of got cut. They got sent home from the island. They got removed. They got laid off. In other words, some of those chapters and verses and books didn't make it to the canon, being the Bible that you know of today. Some of them were just like, ooh, do we really want to tell them that? Or are we? Let's kind of push that one to the side. Oh, did the woman speak? Push that to the side. There are scrolls, y'all. Well, they're actually little tomes, little papyri of little books written in Coptic text. Coptic text is Egyptian on its way to being Greek. There's like a little bridge between the two languages, and that's what they wrote these teachings in. Thomas wrote it, the book of Thomas, one of the things found. So I want to talk to you about 1945 when a farmer in Egypt was walking and was looking for something. Farmers be looking around, am I right? Stumbles upon a clay sort of pottery jar. Inside of it, there's 13 little books. Or was it 11? I wrote all this down, and I wrote a book about it. I'll talk about that in a minute. All these little books, little sayings from Jesus to the disciples as told through Thomas. Well, the beautiful monks who decided that they weren't, just because they got told to go home or whatever the term is when you're not accepted into the canon, they could have thrown it away or got rid of it. They just went underground with it and they hid these tomes somewhere in the desert for them to be found at some point. Meanwhile, Oppenheimer, the dude that regretted the fact that he created a tool that could blow up humanity, that guy, he was over there regretting his whole life when he saw, oh my God, it worked. Oh Jesus, they're going to use this. Oh my God, now the cat's out of the bag. I've created a weapon that could destroy humanity. Meanwhile, there's a farmer that stumbled upon, I'm not lying, the exact same year, the farmer stumbles upon the tomes. So could it be that larger hand, that justice, that hand of the arc of justice, the arc of there's something bigger happening right here, right now, not limited to these so-called good and bad choices by humans? Could it be that every time we're given something to let us destroy ourselves, we're also given something that tells us who we really are? Because let me tell you what it says in the Gospel of Thomas. Anyway, I wrote a book about it. I'll give you the link. The book is now in review. I want you to be one of my reviewers. Some of you already got the thing in the, I sent a text. Some of you already have it. And of course, that was on a different machine. So I'm going to pull up this so-called book, right? So that you're supposed to review. That's the Gospel of Mary. She's next. But let me pull up the other one. Sorry it's taking me so long. Here's Thomas, and now I'm going to share with you. I found a couple of verses that are going to be perfect for what I have to talk to you about. And what better way to hear Thomas talk to us about it. So I'm going to zoom in. And I'll share this with you. As I said, I'll share it with you soon. The introduction talks about what I just explained, right? So I'm just going to scroll down. Now, for my talk here, I've decided that the point one, so if we're talking about things that are hidden, things that are silent, things that are right on the edge of what we already know, it would have to be the part where he says, whoever finds the meaning of these sayings. And so the first one. The Coptic saying, I can't even pronounce that, but that's how you know this is based on the real thing. The literal translation says, and he said, whoever finds the meaning of these sayings will not taste death. Okay, what does that mean? Tasting death? Well, let's read it in today's speak, modern rendering. To understand these words is not an intellectual exercise. It's a shift in consciousness. When you truly grasp what is being pointed to here, you step outside the illusion of mortality, not because your body becomes immortal, but because you recognize that what you truly are was never born and can never die. Now, take yourself back to whatever roots you have spiritually. Didn't they say that the life of Jesus was eternal? And didn't they make it seem like it was just Jesus? And what these Gnostic Gospels are telling us is that it's not just Jesus. He was telling his disciples, everything I'm doing, this is the truth about all of us. And we need to not seek to limit ourselves with the information that's been given to us. We need to rise above it and know the truth. All right, there's another thing. What are we filling the silence with in order to avoid hearing? Now, a lot of us, and I'll stop sharing for a second as I get you into your next point. A lot of us are filling up the silence all the time. I mean, I loved Tamara's meditation today. We were silent as we breathed in and out. We could just tell ourselves in our head, I'm breathing in, I'm breathing out. So just the silence itself has so much to teach us that if we were to just sit and be in our own presence, a lot of the things that keep us anxious and worried and living in the future or in the past, those dissolve into the present moment, which we've already agreed is the only place where our true power lies. So we're in the present moment. We're breathing in and out. We are silent. Ernest Holmes taught us in The Science of Mind that if we found out who we really were, where we are actually creating our reality with what we're paying attention to. He didn't say quantum physics says that as soon as you put your attention on it, you collapse the wave of possibilities and you create your own reality. He didn't say those words, but homeboy was saying it underneath. He was saying our conscious awareness is what brings us our experience. So if we only knew who we really were, if we only came home to who we really are, then we would bring so much more presence into our lives. And it would be a blessing to everyone. And Ernest said, if I could have 1,000 people that could do this, the world would be completely different. Think about the monks. The monks who were walking through, how they gathered thousands of people as these monks made their pilgrimage from way south to DC. And they gathered so much attention, not by what they said, but by who they were. They brought a presence with them. And it wasn't just their clothes. It wasn't just their look. They had a sense of something bigger's happening right here, right now. And if we only turn toward it, you will find love. You will find peace. You will find connectedness. You will find unity. You will find oneness where what appears to be separate is not the truth. That's what they reminded us of. Now, they weren't teaching because all they did was walk. They were just something in them calls forth something in us. And that's what Ernest is talking about. He's like, God calls upon God. Or, now, see, in the hood, we say game, recognize game. But no. It's also the God in me sees the God in you. And we elevate, and it's just okay. Everybody is loved, seen, and included, and it's just the way it's supposed to be. And that's what I feel is happening when you've got 1945 and the caves and the scrolls. There weren't really scrolls, they were little tomes. And then you've got somebody who said, oh my gosh, I figured out how to make physics blow up everybody. You've got both of these because in every point as we move through our lives, we are presented with a choice. Which will you serve? Which one? All right. Now let's talk about this collective, because we said, Ernest Holmes said, if I could find 1,000 people who know it and use it, the world would no longer be famished. Thomas has a saying number 23. All right, let me scroll up and I'll start sharing again. I kind of love this little tool, but then I'm a geek, so y'all have to tell me. I get excited about things. Saying number 23, clicking this button, 23. It says, I shall choose you, this is the literal translation, I shall choose you, 1 from 1,000 and 2 from 10,000, and they will stand as a single one. That kind of matches kind of what Ernest was saying. But then here's how we can take that into our modern day speak. Awakening is rare, and it is individual. But those who awaken do not remain separate. They recognize each other and they stand as one. This is not elitism. It is simply the nature of consciousness recognizing itself. Game, recognize game. 1,000 may hear the teaching, 1 absorbs it. And then, of course, it has nothing to do with people being unworthy. It's because readiness cannot be made in a factory. I'm just going to let that sink in. I love this thing. Now, the next, let me stop sharing this. Take you to my third talking point here. Now, silence. If silence is the place where all of the truth about us is born and it shows up, it's kind of like what we mentioned before when we said the womb is darkness. It's empty. It's so nourishing. It's where magic happens, where life is gestated until it's ready to enter into this world. It's similar to soil and how that's dark and seems like nothing's going on. But what's going on is everything. Everything. And it might not emerge yet, but it's like the silence. What's going on in the silence? Everything. So we need to visit it a lot. We deserve to sit in silence. So we have the idea of being silent together, which Aaron talked about being really blown away by. There's something about sitting in silence together, or watching the monks walking in silence together. And here's where the Thomas Gospel might have something to say. So I'll go ahead on back in, go back to the little section, and I need to find saying number 5. Where Jesus said, know what is before your face, and what is hidden from you will be revealed to you. Know what is before your face, and what is hidden from you will be revealed to you. There's nothing hidden that will not be made manifest. Of course, our modern reading says, reality is not hiding from you, you're hiding from it. Which is why you don't want to sit and be silent. You're hiding from yourself. Sorry, that's me. That's the Charlene interjection. I get to do that. The present moment, the thing directly in front of you right now, contains everything. When you stop projecting the past and the future into the moment, what was invisible becomes obvious. The universe is transparent to the one who is truly present. Every mystic tradition agrees. The veil is not between you and God. The veil is your own distracted mind. Not bad. Not bad at all. This is exactly what our practice is about. This is why we come to the Center for Spiritual Living, or to any unity, any new thought teaching that seeks to go beyond what we've been told, beyond what things were taken away from the Bible. And I can now look at a Bible and say, yeah, but what aren't you saying? I see what you're saying, but what aren't you saying? Because now we have more information. We have more information, and it's so telltale, the things that were left out. You could just reverse engineer the reasoning behind leaving it out. We didn't even touch Gospel of Mary. That's next week. I feel like part of me is kind of like, and the other part is like, they're both living in the same being. The part that's like, I knew it. And the other part that's like, okay, let me go within. And so I want this for you as well. Everything that unfolds in your life, look for it. Look for the messages that it's here to teach us. And is it seeking to, should we pull something away? Sometimes what we're learning is, we can let go of that assumption and let go of that habit and let go of that thing, and I'll become more of who I am. And sometimes it's adding in a little bit more of self. Because as you pull away all the not self, you come to the one, and then taking those two beams of light and putting them together and multiplying. When we know that we know who we really are. Wow. Can't wait to see it. All right, let's go within and have a prayer, because this time goes by fast. I am so aware, keenly aware, that there's only one life, one universal source. Some call it God, some call it Muhammad, some call it Buddha, Yeshua, Yahweh. There are many names for the one, but all names lead to that one presence that is in everything. And it's not only just everything it has ever created, for it is also all of the possibilities of everything. So therefore, no matter where we are, there it is. This presence, this divine high idea of ourselves and each other. We are already connected, and we are coming into the awareness that we are already connected. We're unified, but we're not uniform. We get to be who we really are, and we can be gloriously, fabulously not like anybody else, and still be in unity with each other. That is the beautiful, beautiful feature of this divine life that we're a part of. And so I release this idea of any lack or limitation, and I embrace the idea of infinite possibility. And for each and every one of us, I speak my word. We are whole. We are abundant. Things are looking up, and they are changing in this moment. We are releasing ourselves from whatever shackles we had been bound to, and we are stepping into a free and open and loving world that greets us with a smile and a little bit of a prayer and a little bit of a nod, because I see you. You are God, seeing God as God. And I know that all is well. So I simply say thank you for all of these unfolding, beautiful, beautiful outcomes that have already begun. And so I simply say thank you, life. Thank you, Father, Mother, God. Thank you, infinite spirit of possibility. I release my word. I let it be. And so it is. Ashe.